walkway for.
Just a covered walkway. You didn't have to. And at night, because that fair back in those days was when that whole after hours stuff really started taking off.
Right.
To the point that the fair would close, and kind of like how this fair is now.
Flush them out and bring them back in.
You could buy it to anybody can come back on the site. Mm-hmm. Are you happy on this stage?
Yeah.
Even with the
nice.
teal? Is that teal? What color are we calling that?
Yeah, I was like seafoam green,
Yeah.
but somewhere in there.
That's the one I was on in
it's-
Oregon, I think.
It's just, it's beautiful, but I was like, I don't want to put there's not really a place to put my banner on it. I didn't want to cover up anything, but I might make a banner for like the doorway for next weekend.
Yeah, that's the stage I was on in Oregon.
And I like the little skeleton over there. I put my bottle opener over there because I was going to like try to use him to open the bottles and make it look that way anyway.
Now, would it be all right on camera if we admit that you have a problem with drinking because you have so much of it in your show?
I don't have a problem with drinking. It's perfectly a balanced situation to have with it.
So when did you? Now you're out of Houston, Texas.
That's the one.
It's supposed to be Houston, Kansas, and you
Or
are
Houston, New York.
you're a variety artist.
Yes.
What word do you use? I gotta
Oh,
stop.
it's on the banner. I put comedian with mad skills because
Okay.
I don't. Sometimes I don't juggle at all in the show,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to get away from that the stigma of being a juggler.
Yeah.
But also I do absolutely no magic in the show, and sometimes I point that out quite often that there are no illusions, everything's real. So yeah, variety artist, vaudevillian.
We need. I don't know. I mean, variety artist, I guess, is the best. But I'd like there to be a term. I don't know, like
I know.
actor. I don't know what it would be though.
I don't either because, like I said, I've added music to the show now, and
Well, it's still variety, but
it's a variety. But yeah,
How about just the word variety? You're a variety. I'm a variety. What do you do? I'm a
I'm a-
variety. That sounds weird. And how long you been at? Now you're a man. You're roughly my age.
roughly
56.
56 until next month.
So you're older.
I get another year.
He's older. By the way, I'm sitting here with Jim Mackenzie from the act Jim Mackenzie. Now, that was kismet. I mean, did the ad go up that says auditions for a show
I
called
was a
Jim?
shoe-in
Yeah.
for it. I originally, acts had, an act name, and I
Yeah.
did have one. I was Syncopated Pandemonium, which is
Okay.
actually a suite of a Pink Floyd song.
Okay.
And I liked it because I was using sort of a slightly different definition of syncopated, but it was thinking that I know what I'm doing in my mind, but to the audience it looks like pandemonium.
Now, were you a character name as well in addition to that? Or
No,
you're
it was
Jim.
it was just that was what would go on the program, Syncopated Pandemonium.
I don't know. For the past couple of years, every now and then, I find myself. I guess that's fine. I find myself. I'll occasionally drop my real name, and Brian. I'll just say it, and I'm Brian. You can call me Brune, and then I go on with the show. Very rarely, like once a Ren Fair, I'll do that. But part of me's like, boy, I missed the boat on that. I really should have thought before I went with a fake name, simply because it's confusing with social media, with your YouTube page, with all the stuff. And I have a URL, of course. I don't have a Brune one. I probably should. I'm get off my ass and do it. Although websites these days, no one gives a damn anymore. It's all social media.
Right.
But that would have cleaned things up. So whenever I see your banner, and you make your own banners, right?
I do.
Now, your art training, were you trained as an artist?
Yep.
Okay, where? Where'd you go for that?
The Houston Community College.
All right.
Because it was much more affordable than the Art Institute.
Ah.
Although I did get the booklets and stuff for Maryland and other art institutes at the time as well. But yeah, just Houston Community. And I got in right before we did computer graphics. Mm-hmm. And so I learned all the old school methods. And then they had 2 computers locked away in a room at that time.
Couldn't go near them?
2 Macs. I mean, you had to sign up for them or whatever. But
Isn't it so funny? They're ubiquitous now, and yet it's like the computer. I remember the computer lab at my junior high school, and it was a big deal. Bates Junior High School in Annapolis, Maryland, and they brought the class down. And this was back in the days. You probably remember this, where even the teachers didn't know what to do in the room, and they had like a little syllabus. They had like a little booklet that this booklet's going to tell you what you should talk to the kids about, how you should, what they should know about it. And I think and I remember the teacher going, okay, and now hit return.
Right.
Click. And if we did it correctly, a little orange rectangle showed up on a black screen, and we were like, ah!
Right.
Because we had to set the parameters of where on the screen the rectangle is, describe the rectangle width and height.
I had to do
choose
that.
the color of the rectangle, a hexadecimal thing, and it was just nuts. And nowadays, it's just crazy.
And it was like, why did we learn that? Because I remember doing a triangle, and I figured out a different way for the triangle to fill in. Like it was supposed to go horizontally and things or whatever, and I'd already done that, and so I figured out how to do it like concentrically or something different in the time frame that we were supposed to be doing it. And
So
it was
you
like,
went
when
to
would
school
I
for
ever
art.
use that?
We're going to stop talking about art.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, remember, the kids that did that well are the ones that designed the software
Right.
that idiots like us use
Right,
today.
right.
They're the ones that designed Photoshop.
You
But
kidding me?
so you're a kid, you're doing college, you're thinking you're going to be an artist, and you still are, right? You still
Yeah,
make
do.
money as graphic
Yeah,
design.
I do graphic arts during the middle of the week.
Okay. Only Wednesday. Just Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay. And when did the performing bug? I keep pointing at it. You can't see it. His
Yeah,
banner's
there's a banner
right
right there.
So my brain keeps seeing that
Just
banner.
reflect it.
And the other actor on the stage doesn't mind that you have that banner there?
No, because in this case, it's not on stage.
Okay.
And if I put it on stage, it comes down when I'm not on stage.
Right.
But yeah, it is.
Sorry, you get an important call.
No, I'm trying to figure out how to. I can't figure it out.
It's not that important.
It's
It's not that important.
but so no, since it wasn't going to fit on stage, I was like, I put it back there, and it just helps advertise this.
Okay.
This stage also provides more shade for.
Fair
the
enough.
audience.
So you're a kid. You're studying graphic design and art, and you're from Houston, where of course the Texas Renaissance Fair is, right?
Yes.
Up there in Plantersville.
Up there, yeah.
Up there,
We're in
Magnolia.
Seattle and.
Yeah, but I'm imagining that I'm in Houston.
Okay, yeah, it's north.
And
of Houston.
so did the horse follow the cart or vice versa? Was the Ren Fair thing influence your idea to be a variety person, or were you already a variety guy and you said, oh, and there's a Ren Fair?
No, it was the Ren Fair was the first place I saw a variety performance.
And who'd you see? You can name
So
drop.
yeah, I'll name drop. So no one knows these names anymore. You know some of them. Jim Ridgely was one of the first. So I knew how to juggle. I go to see. I was like, oh, there's a juggler on the schedule. Let me go see him. And I was like, this shitty little 13-year-old kid. He opens the show by throwing 3 balls behind his back, grabbing 2 and doing a net catch. And I was like, I need to study this.
Right.
I do not know anything about juggling.
Right.
And so yeah, Jim Ridgely, Steve Russell was another solo juggler, and then there was the Raspini brothers.
Raspini,
so that
sure.
would be the main one. And so yeah, I would go to the Ren Fair and see those acts. So the Raspini brothers, when social media started out, they posted a picture, or someone posted a picture of them on stage. I could tell was the Players Podium at Texas Renaissance Festival.
Sure, I know that stage.
I was
That's
like-
the stage I worked for Johnny Fox and
Okay.
Doug and Jose at.
And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I'm in the front row right there in that picture, and I tagged myself and Barry untagged me. Because he thought I was joking, I guess. And I was like, no, that's me because I'm wearing a shirt my mom made that was what...
Like
it
a
was
costume shirt?
No, but it was Robin Williams' Mork shirt. So each sleeve is a different color.
Okay, we gotta drill down on this.
Okay.
Your mother made you. Now, okay. So Mork and Mindy, he wore that red outfit,
That.
the space outfit.
Yeah, it wasn't the space outfit.
But did he wear? I guess he like red
He had
sleeve,
several-
green sleeve.
well, yeah,
that was
he
a
had
Robin Williams thing, not a Mork thing. I mean, because he
Well,
would go and do shows.
Yeah,
dressed
he
like
would.
that.
Yeah, he would wear that too because it was sort of, I guess, a new wavy 80s.
And that's what
sort
you
of
went to the
thing.
Ren Fair wearing.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it suits it. But she made it for you. You couldn't buy one off the rack.
No, I don't wear things off the rack. Well, I'm not in costume right now, am I?
Okay.
I do wear things off the rack and for costume to some degree, but also I made my own Spike Jonze suit, which was a big deal.
Okay, we'll get on that some other day. We
Yeah.
don't have that much time today.
No.
So the enigma that is you learning how you see the Raspinis, you see those other dudes at the TRF show, you decide to be a better juggler. You're done in college right now. You're still in college.
At that point, I wasn't in college yet,
At all?
Even that was early high school, and that's when I started really practicing juggling.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
And I had no interest in performing before that. I was, as many performers are, shy kid. If I'm not on stage, I'm not going to be. I'm not a people person, even
Yeah.
for the most part.
I get that.
I can be, but yeah, it's as often happens with performers. So that's why I'm moving out of camp to camp behind my stage.
Yeah. So you put a show together. At
Yeah.
what point? What age?
When I started at TRF, well, I tried doing some stuff at like the high school talent show. And
Okay.
that was basically just juggling the music.
Which
just
is great.
showing
It's
off.
a great, I mean, any young person should consider that. If
Yeah.
high schools do talent shows, get up in front of the audience. My daughter got
Yeah.
up and sang several times, so now she's she's still a little shy about it, but
Well,
she
that's-
has at least done it. By the time she was 12, she'd already been on stage vocalizing like 4 times in front of hundreds of people.
Right.
So you did that. You did
Singing
some juggling
takes a lot of
routines.
guts in front of people, so yeah.
As does juggling.
Yeah, but if you drop and you do a comedy show, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's some comedy. So, so they actually, these things came together. I auditioned for TRF, didn't get it the first year. I worked a food booth.
Mm-hmm.
I got it later, like 2 years later, and then I was doing a path act, as well as being in a team act.
A show that's not on
Not
a
a
stage,
stage.
kind of. Okay.
It's in the path.
Yeah.
It's street. It's more strict street performing.
Hardcore street performing, yeah.
And so you have to gather a crowd, make them stand around you, do the show. If you're not entertaining, they walk right off with no, and
Good training.
yeah, it was.
So how old are you now when you're doing that?
19, 20,
Yeah.
I think, around there.
Our
18,
careers
something.
kind of parallel in many ways.
Right. I noticed that as I got to know more about you.
Yeah.
So one of the first routine I actually wrote for a comedy show, I'm still doing today, and it is my artistic juggle,
Okay.
which comes from art school. So it's torch juggling, featuring various art movements, and the jokes are all about these art movements and doing juggling tricks that represent those art movements.
That's great. It's great you have a routine that's that old. My oldest routine is probably the bowling ball thing. What now that you've been doing it for a while,
A little bit.
well, since you're 19, what was your first pro gig then? I guess that counts. You were making
I would count
money.
that 87.
Money was going into your pocket.
Yeah, 87 would be my first.
Yeah.
Yeah, being paid to perform. I tried performing actually on the street in Houston at the Houston Fair or Festival. I guess it was an international festival at this point in '85, and I made like $7 my first show.
Okay.
Which
Still,
got me a burger or
I remember
whatever.
auditioning for street performing at Baltimore's Inner Harbor,
Right.
and I didn't know what I was going to make. I thought it was going to be like $10, and they wanted you to pass that. They wanted you to do 15 minutes, so a shorter chunk,
Right.
and then do a hat because they want to see how you are with that. They want to make sure you're not an asshole. And I think I made $30, and I was using a bucket back then, or maybe I was using the classic old school
Yeah.
street performer top hatty thing, whatever.
Which is what I still use.
I miss having one. I got to buy one.
And
over here.
I don't have it here. Well, it's backstage, but it is the same hat I've passed since 1988.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Every busker, every juggler I knew back in the day had one, and we got them at Hats in the Belfry. Did they have those in Houston? That's what they had in Maryland.
I
It was a
think so.
hat
It was
store with
in the
silly
mall?
hats, usually in malls and
Yeah.
touristy places.
Yeah, I forgot that name, but I think that
Yeah.
they had it at the Galleria, and I didn't get that hat there.
Kind
I
of
don't
big
think, but I had
Victorian
another
black hat, right? Kind of flares out slightly. A little bit
yeah,
of
it
felt.
used to. Now it's this mob of black felt. Yeah.
Anyway, I made like $30, and my mind was blown. So when do you get on stage at the Texas Renaissance Fair?
I don't remember the schedule.
When did you first get a stage show?
Oh, that was what was ironic so I'm doing a Path show my first year, but I'm also on the premiere stage, the Globe stage of that fair, doing a duo act with Claude Sims from Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And so I did that year. I don't remember what year I first got on the stage. It was a small stage called the Dove Meadow, and that was a problem there. There just wasn't turnover on the stages to get on one of the good stages. And so that's why I ended up ditching that for a while and still doing a Path show occasionally. But I moved on to other things for a little while because there just wasn't.
Isn't
a
it
stage
interesting that you think, oh, that's if only I could get there as an artist? You go, I'm here doing my art, and it's okay. But boy, if I could just get there, and then you get there and you go, yeah, but now I miss some of that stuff back there, And it's kind of,
there?
what I
Kind
mean?
of, because I really enjoy doing the Path show.
Yeah.
I also sometimes hate it because I use a prop case, so I have a spot.
Right.
But sometimes if it's a rainy day, I can go out with just a bag with my torches and my sword and do a full show.
Yeah.
Or in this case, bring the violin and the beer and whatnot, and just a couple more things, and do a full show just in the middle of the path.
Now we were
walk off.
chatting earlier before we turned the camera on. You were talking about, and for the folks that don't know, a big iconic. What's the iconic Jim Mackenzie stunt? Is it the beer pool cue violin?
It is now. That's what I'm pushing.
What is it? Tell me what it is.
It is called The Fatal Glass of Beer, which the title comes from W.C. Fields' film.
Wow.
And
Do you say these do you tell the audience of these titles? I don't really have names like this for routines. I'm jealous. I think I should probably start doing that.
we need to work with you on some branding. And
Well, I don't. Do you
yeah, I
announce
do.
it to the audience?
I do. And
This is called the Fatal Glass of Beer.
Yes.
You say. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't have them here, but I also have pint glasses that say FG etched on it FGB.
Okay.
Fatal Glass of Beer, JimMackenzie.com on them.
And what is the trick?
The trick is I balance a glass of beer on a pool cue on my forehead and play violin.
Behind your back.
I was getting there.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Okay, just ignore that. He's gonna go back to first position. Go ahead.
The trick is I play.
Put a beer on a pool cue.
I know the
fuck,
trick.
I did it again.
The trick is I balance a glass of beer on a pool cue on my forehead and play violin. I play the A part normally in an old style way. It's on my arm. As the applause dies down on that, I play the B part behind my back.
Oh. And what tune do you play?
It's the first tune I learned on violin. It's called the Carry Polka. So it's a really simple thing. And then when I finish, gather the violin and I knock the pool cue out and drop the falling glass of beer without spilling it.
And you catch it.
Yes, it won't just land on the stage without spilling.
Well, I don't know. You can look into that. And the beauty of non-alcoholic beer. Now, it is normally alcoholic beer.
It is normally, and
except for here at the Washington Renaissance Fair, where none of the stage acts have actual beer on or behind stage. Jim,
unless
point like I'm pointing. Make it seem
unless you're in a pub, and I'm not.
No, because they have a rule here, guys, and it's very, very corny, very old school rule where if you get a beer at an outdoor, and not just the Ren Fair, any outdoor event, if it's a carnival, state of Washington, beer and wine off to a little cordon-off area. So you don't see people walking around this fair with a beer in their hand like you do at almost every other fair in the country, including Oregon, which this year, because they had the same rule in Oregon, but I think it changed this last year. So finally people were sitting in my audience with a glass of wine in their hand. So what are you using instead of real alcohol since you can't use it?
So this is the first time it's come up, and it comes up in every fair. In the contract says I can't drink between opening gate and closing gate, and then I have to say, excuse me, I have beer in the show. And they're, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I always discuss it with them first.
Yeah.
Here it is a state law, and so they could lose their liquor license for the whole fair if I use real beer on this stage. So I use O'Doul's. And I did this fair for the first time last year, and I told them, if that's the law, then yes, I can use O'Doul's, but it's a beer trick. It's going to be a beer. And
you're going to call it a beer.
Yeah, and I tell them sort of like per contracts where it says, henceforth, this beverage will be known as a beer kind of thing here.
Right.
So I can just say it's a beer. And the first time I used O'Doul's, and I tell the people that, normally this is a real beer, but I'm taking them for the team and using O'Doul's. And they immediately feel my pain right there. And so a whole new set of jokes came out of using O'Doul's instead of real beer.
Isn't that great when that happens?
And it's one of those things, when you have rules, it inspires creativity.
I can't think of a better place to end it right there. We're going to end it right now. Jim, I'm doing this. No. I'm doing this with my hand because this is where the bona fides go. So tell people where they can find you on the inner tubes.
I am on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter. I don't think that's lasting long. At the Jim Mackenzie, on Facebook at Jim's Show, and then my website is jimmackenzie.com.
All right, and where can people see you the rest of this season?
I am here in Washington for 2 more weekends, and then I have a great schedule. I go from Washington over to Massachusetts for the first 4 weekends of King Richard's.
Driving?
No, I'm flying. I go to the same airport.
Okay.
Because my schedule has been bouncing between coasts the whole year.
Wow.
So Massachusetts for King Richard's for September, and then I do the last 2 weekends of New York in Tuxedo in October.
Okay.
And then I will be in Louisiana in December.
All right. So when you're out and about in the Renaissance Fair world, look for Jim Mackenzie, a comedian with mad skills, and don't ask if the beer is real. Just accept it. Just look down that lens right there, if you would, Jim, and say your goodbyes so we can say goodbye.